Life in the bike lane. How you guys doing? It is the classiest of all Hoosiers, the classy Hoosier. Don't question my Hoosier. I got, my last name tattooed on my back and you can barely read it. Don't question my Hoosier. Anyway, today we are changing tires we're replacing with the Continental Gator skin for you fancy pantsies out there. We are changing tires on the Le Mans. These are 25s. So always be sure that you're changing out the same size because some of these bikes, you can't go any bigger. So this right here is a $70 bike mount from Amazon. And if you're out in the wild and you have a flat, I highly recommend finding a tree and somehow getting your frame up on the tree and doing the same thing here. So what you're gonna want to do first is get down to your smallest gear on the cassette so that you remember, and the chain is easier to come off. Okay, we are all the way down and set. That thing's moving at lightning speed. You do that. Alright. Next step. We take kind of like your brake valve release kind of lever right here. Spreads apart the brakes so that you can get the tire off. Whoop! Whoop, whoop, whoop. Well, there she blows. Get that going real quick. The chain back. Rocking and rolling. Okay, so yes, the cassette, always kind of keep them going the same way so that you remember what you're doing when you get them off so that your tires are facing in the right direction. You can usually tell when you need new tires because it kind of starts slipping and stuff, and then you look at the new ones in the package and you go, oh yes, these are kind of old. So, of course, we depress our air. Snakes. Get your air out of there, and you'll definitely be able to save your tubes and stuff like that. So, we'll do the next one. Alright, and my next step, I'll probably cut this in a second. And for my next step, I will start to de-thread the tires, taking the bead off. Yeah, I can feel that one's a little old. So So we are removing our tire at this point. As you can see, that's how you remove the tire. It is a Presto valve. And I'm gonna be sure, I don't know if I'm gonna need soapy water, so I may have to cut, depending on how this bead gets over the tire. You may hear me cuss a couple times. So I'm gonna go ahead and try it. Try removing this. Here comes the circus. All right. Tubes are still intact and still good. Holy smokes. Come on. See? See? Try it a little bit. if it's these. You're a freaking son of a gun. Oh, that one almost worked. That bead up and over. Cut and delete. And the next step is to remove the tire from the rim. All right. See, and I kind of used the back side of this. I hooked in, and then I got kind of like that type of action. That's what you want to do to remove these. They're kind of a bear. I said bear, so I didn't say pain in the you know what. So take this on down, and you then remove the tube. Cue the freaking circus music. I'll be cussing in a minute, I promise. Tube is definitely savable because it's pretty much brand new. Let's hope it didn't put any holes in it, removing the tire from the bead. That's good. And be sure your tubes fit your tires. Come on, Mr. Bead. And we'll get you. I think it's caught on the tape. Tire levers come in handy both ways. Okay. Remove tire, old tire. I like kind of keeping them in the same direction so that I know which way to put the new tire back on. Doesn't really matter on the front tire. Anyway, give me a second and we'll do another thing. Next step is we got the first bead over the tire. Our next step is going to be throwing some air in the tube so that you can work with it around the tire, around the rim, so that you can get the tire over the top of it so it's not all flimsy. Anyway, here we go. This little hand pump's good for that. If we can get it on there. Everything is frustrating today. Oh, wouldn't that work? Come on. Makes no sense. None of this stuff makes any sense. Yeah. What you're gonna want to do is, so we got our first bead from the new tires over the rim. And now our next step is to insert the tube and then get the tire over the bead over the tire. So we're gonna throw a couple pumps in here so that we can work with our tube. That's probably good. I would assume. Now you get to hear me cuss, probably. Let's hope not. This is a family channel, by the way. So, you gotta cue the clown music when you're working on bikes because it's like, sometimes it's the only thing that can make you happy because they do get frustrating. As the air lets out of the tube. The freaking techs don't even need to use tire levers. Probably gonna be the techs will probably laugh at this and go, "Oh, you amateur." All right, let's throw a couple pumps in there so we can work with it. Oh yeah, great. Falls back through. Can't win. Yeah, can't win with this stuff. Throw a couple pumps so that we can work with our tire. We can work with our tube. Interlace it to the best of your ability. Let's fingers crossed. Try to get this up over the bead. The bead up over the rim. This may be a headache, but filming this made me do it. You never fall if you never fight. Always remember that. You never screw up if you never do anything. I'm like a modern day Bob Ross with no talent. Woo! Alright. Don't take me off today, guys. Alright, let's see. Well, tire lever's about ready to come out. Kind of take them backwards. That works, sort of. We'll be back in a flash. Oh, come on. So after kind of wrestling with that for a second, as you can see, tires up over the rim, the beads up over the rim, and you're gonna want to take this kind of like backwards. Now I'm not going to show like me wrestling with it for a minute down when it starts to get tight, but that's how you're going to get your bead up over the rim, is by kind of going backwards with it instead of ting, ting, ting and busting the freaking tube. So anyway, that's a quick tip. And then you can start doing them both as you get tighter. So we'll be back in a jiff. And we are on. I didn't want to bore you guys with me getting up over the edge. And I also want to, maybe, leave some mystery to see, if I'm like one of the techs that can just go. No, I'm not one of those guys. Only cussed probably once though. So anyway, we got one on. I'm gonna throw some pumps in it to be sure that I didn't puncture it. You kind of feel up under there to be sure that you are hitting the rim whenever you are flipping it up, to be sure that you're not pinching that. But all in all, they weren't that bad. As you can see, I'm not sweating too bad about this. So we're going to throw some pumps in and be sure that we're holding there. And then get it back on the bike. So you fill up your tires with air. And we are holding today, ladies and gents. You know, we're doing this right next to the freaking, you know, the sewer trap. You know, I told you I was a Hoosier. Anyway, you always want to have a standing pump. And I filled these to, as you can see, about 95. That's usually what I do for the gator skins. I hear no hissing. And we are plugging and chugging. We got this on the right way. This is my back wheel and tire for the Le Mans. I'm pretty much like the Greg LeMond of South St. Louis. You know what I mean? I'll sign your autographs. I'll pet your dog. I'll say what's up. So what I did, this one is a DT Swiss wheel. And it's different than these original Bontragers that came with the Le Mans, I do believe. I mean, it came with it when I bought it. So this was a little difficult getting this up over the bead. Now what did I do? I grabbed a little soapy water to not much avail. Wrestled for a minute. I then, because it's still 90 degrees out in late September here in St. Louis, I let this sit outside for about 10 minutes. And then I was able to pretty much easily get it up over the bead. Get the bead up over the rim. So anyway, if you have issues with new tires, let it sit outside for about 10 minutes. You know, I was like halfway on, couldn't get it up over, I was getting frustrated. All right, gives you 10 minutes to go decompress from your wrestling match. Anyway, we'll get this back on the bike and we will be game, set, match, I do believe. I do not, feels like we're holding there. I don't think I pinched it, fingers crossed. Voila. Voila. Oh. Put them new gaiters on the Le Mans. What? Gator shoes on the Le Mans. Anyway, get a bike. I've lost probably 20 pounds in the past 3 years. You know, I was hitting that cookie line, that pastry line, a little heavy too. So anyway, the best thing you can do for the city, you know, and use your vehicle less. Buy a bike. I think I saved a whopping 24 bucks by doing this. So I'm gonna get some Afghan kebab later, I think, or just eat at home and then really save the 24 bucks. But anyway, you can do it all on your own. Peace. Goodbye.